Good afternoon and welcome to Treaty Today.
And today's headlines.
How the eviction ban is impacting Limerick's renters.
The beloved bands in Limerick marching to the beat of their own drum.
And the excitement of motocross comes to Limerick.
Earlier this month, it was revealed that the eviction ban would not be renewed by the government. As the housing crisis continues to mount, what is the feeling amongst renters? Treaty Today correspondent Alison reports.
A safe and secure place to live is a basic human need, but for many, it remains a far-off dream. For renters all over the country, the news they are no longer safe from eviction has come at a particularly difficult time. Student Chloe Kellett is just one of the hundreds of thousands of tenants in Ireland who could be affected.
It's just going to lead to so much more homelessness because there's not enough housing as it is, so if everyone gets evicted from their houses, there's going to be even more people trying to find houses that there isn't any of. It's so hard. I was so lucky that I got mine in first year and then I got to rebook it for my second year, but all my friends didn't get their accommodation for second year, so they're all really stuck now. They don't know what they want to do for second year. I think they need to make more housing and make it cheaper. Like, my accommodation's gone up so much this year because of the cost of living, like inflation and everything, but they just need to make it cheaper and have more of it because there's not enough of it for everyone to go around.
The government have announced they will not be renewing the ban on evictions and rental properties past the end of the month. I spoke to Senator Paul Gavin about how it will affect those dependent on the rental market.
Well, it's going to be a disaster. We know that in July to September last year, we had 211 evictions here in Limerick. So we know what's coming. We know there are going to be thousands of evictions coming through April, May and June. And we know that the government have no plans in place to deal with this emergency crisis.
Worry is growing that the evictions development, combined with the relentless rise in rents, may be the straw that breaks the camel's back for many. Only 16 properties available to rent in Limerick, range from $950 to $3,500 a month. It is certainly a precarious time to be a renter in Ireland.
We are now joined by in-studio correspondent Erin Lally. Wow, what's your immediate reaction?
From what I've heard, Mark, things are bad. Students are struggling. It's really kind of going from bad to worse, from the pandemic to now. It's just one thing after the next, really.
Absolutely. Looking for a resolution. Is there one? Is there any advice you could give for one?
There is an organisation called Threshold that provides support for students who may be facing eviction or struggling with increase in rental prices. So that's somewhere to kind of go for guidance if anyone is struggling with the issue.
Erin Lally, thank you so much.
With ever more complaints about traffic congestion in and around Limerick City, the council are putting major efforts into alternative modes of transportation. How is this working on the ground? Rebecca Lenihan reports.
Cars everywhere. This is the scene most mornings and evenings around UL. But could there be a better way? Attempts are underway to wean people off their beloved cars and onto the bike, the scooter and the bus. Limerick TD Brian Lenihan is just one of the people pushing for the new active travel scheme which has been approved for Limerick City. This is just one of a suite of plans that he thinks will transform how people get around the city and will also help transform Limerick City into a smarter city.
And we've got to make hard decisions around how we use road space because the road space, especially in the city centre, wasn't designed to cater for all of these modes. There's limited space there and we have to decide what's our priority. And I believe strongly that it should be our priority that people don't need to use a car to get around Limerick City. It's a small city.
Politicians and advocates are talking a big game in terms of active travel, but what is it like on the ground?
I wouldn't have experience in Limerick City, but in UL it's fairly easy to get around and by bike.
It's just more comfortable to drive.
Yeah.
This is work. I live pretty close to the college, so I only have to cycle about 2.5 kilometres.
Whatever about the pace of the changes, there is no doubt that the cycling infrastructure will be transformed in the city over the next few years. The aim of the infrastructure here is to increase the amount of cycling across the city.
Although it might not be the best weather today, the active travel scheme proposes there's no better time to get on your bike. Rebecca Lenihan, Treaty Today.
Marching bands across the county are currently preparing to welcome musicians from around the globe to Limerick's International Band Championships. Rachel Pettigrew reports.
On Sunday, March 19th, hundreds of marching band musicians from across Ireland, Europe and America will descend on Limerick for the 51st edition of Limerick International Band Championship. Limerick's marching band tradition is a trademark of the Treaty City, with most bands even predating the GAA.
We were formed in 1949. I play with the City of Limerick Pipe Band since the 1960s, I suppose, really on and off. And we'll be playing in both the band parade and the competition. There is a big turnout always.
Established in 1972, the competition has been a multicultural affair since around the mid-80s.
It is actually quite interesting to see all of the different bands, but also to see some bands from the local area as well, and just to see how different all of the bands really are.
Spectators, however, care little for the bands of California and New York. It is the local bands, such as St Mary's, St John's and Boer Boy Band, that crowds of around 25,000 people come out to cheer on every spring.
I'm going to be playing the parade next weekend and I'm really looking forward to it. I play the tenor drums. I love doing that parade every year as well because you get to see all the big American bands as well.
And it's great to see so many bands here this morning, and what a great to hear the fantastic music. At one stage there was over 100 bands in the city and county.
After years of foreign victories, could this be the year for a treaty champ? One thing's for sure, the bands will live on.
With Seachtain na Gaeilge in full flow this week, there is an increasing focus on the use of cúpla focal in our daily vocabularies. Pearse takes a look at what is going on at the University of Limerick to mark the week.
Whether it's the hit Irish language film on Colleen Kuhn in the multiplexes or heartthrob Paul Mescal speaking Os Gaeilge on the red carpet, our national language is having its day in the sun. Advocates for Irish have long dreamed of us using our national language more on a day-to-day basis. But is this the case around the UL campus? I asked some students about how comfortable they are with using the cúpla focal.
So I wasn't raised through an Irish speaking family or anything like that, but since coming to college and I suppose joining the Common Gaelic, I use Irish every day, speak it with my friends when we're going for lunch, send texts all through Irish and things like that.
I try to speak Irish as much as I can, so I'm not a fluent speaker. I don't come from a Belfast region or anything, but I try and speak it as much in college and with my friends who do Irish and some of them who don't as well.
The Irish Society in UL on Common Gaelic has been organising on-campus events to celebrate the Seachtain, including an Irish brunch. We spoke to them about the importance of Gaeilge to the student populace.
Really important for our society to promote Irish because I think it's something that a lot of people feel is inaccessible to them or they feel maybe excluded from, especially after secondary school they might not have the same opportunities to speak Irish.
From students to staff, it's clear that Irish is alive and breathing on campus. This is Treaty Talks, Saunders, Slán go fóill.
Hello and welcome to the Sports Desk. Beginning with hurling, and Limerick made it 3 wins from 4 in the Alliance Hurling League with a comfortable 127-115 victory over Westmeath. The Treaty County return to action this Sunday against Wexford. In rugby, Ireland are just 1 game away from their 4th Grand Slam title after a 22-7 defeat of Scotland in Murrayfield. The win wasn't without cost for Andy Farrell's side, with Gary Ringrose, Caelan Doris, Dan Sheehan and Ronan Kelleher all picking up injuries. Ireland sit top of the Six Nations table, and a win at home to England this weekend will secure the Men in Green's first Six Nations title in 5 years. Now, the Formula 1 season is already well underway, but you don't need to go to Saudi Arabia to experience the joy of motor racing. Ben Geary took a look at the local racing culture.
Start your engines. Motor racing has long been a part of Limerick life, but those involved in the sport locally say the best is yet to come. I asked some of the local motorsports figures what fuels that love affair, and most importantly, where it all started.
It came from the family. I'm a 3rd generation racing driver. My great uncle Gordon, he started back in the mid 1980s, and then my dad started racing in the early 2000s. So I was born and bred around motorsport. I wanted to race from when I was 4 or 5 years old. I was going to all my dad's races. I've been around cars for the last 20 odd years. I went out for my first race was 22 or 3 cars on the grid, and I put a 5th on the grid my first day. And that kind of went to me like, geez, really, there is, but it might not be too bad at this now.
The Lyons family of Ballysimon Road have been steeped in Limerick motorsport history for over 100 years. It's a tradition Keith Lyons is set to continue this very weekend at the West Cork Rally.
It totally stemmed from my dad. He would have been rallying late 70s. So then up through the 80s would be my first memory. A good stage is something just has a bit of everything. It's like not just a flat out stage that you're on the limit of the car the whole time. It's that you get to take on like nice sweeping bends as well as challenging like corners and junctions. It's the West Cork Rally. It's run out of Clonakilty. It's definitely one of the best rallies in the country. It's just a real welcoming event, and the stages are brilliant. There are probably really close to 200 people doing it, and by the end of the weekend, like our goal would be top 10. When you go into a closed road and you're getting counted down, like the hairs on the back of your neck, and you just know that there's nothing coming towards you, and it's just you versus the road, and you're trying to set a time, and then all you want is, when can I do it again?
And when the lights go out, it all just goes. It doesn't matter. Everything just goes. You know you have a job to do. You're in the zone, and all thoughts and emotions are out the window.
With the number of Limerick drivers on the up, hopes are high that the future of motor racing is going to continue to drive on. Benjamin Geary, Treaty Today.
Barry O'Connell trained Marine Nationale has won the Supreme Novices Hurdle on the opening day of this year's Cheltenham Festival. Cork native Michael O'Sullivan produced an ice-cool ride on the 9-2 shot, capitalising on a mistake by favourite Facile Vega at the final flight.
Facile Vega is gathered up, but he's got no response, and it's Marine Nationale who draws away to win the Sky Bet Supreme.
As it stands, the Irish contingent are beating England 3-2 in this year's Pressbury Cup. Looking ahead to the rest of the week, all eyes will be on the Gold Cup on Paddy's Day, with Willie Mullins' Galopin des Champs looking to take all the beating.
Hello and welcome to Treaty Today Weather. There's high chances of sun and rain in the sky today, because that's usually where it comes from here in Castle Troy. And as you can tell from my hair, it's very windy today. And because of the high humidity coming from the west, we also have high chances of rain here in Castle Troy, but because we're in Castle Troy, the people are protected by the bubble. So because of weather conditions, we'll probably see Mr. Fogg throughout the country, but one person we won't see is Mrs. Fogg, so she's going to stay home and watch the Weather Channel to see where her husband is. He's usually in Parteen, but because it's Parteen, nobody cares. As you can tell by how grey it is, chances of good weather are pretty slim and none, which benefits me because of all this makeup I'm wearing, but doesn't benefit my crew because they're bloody freezing. But if you don't trust the weatherman to tell you where the wind blows, you can always just look outside. It saves you from paying your licence fee or your broadband bill, but that's assuming you already own your own pair of eyes. And that's all for me today, and even if it does rain, I have my umbrella.
Well, that's it from the newsroom.
From all of us here, the Treaty Today team, thank you.
The boys are back in town.
We're so back.
Yeah, they really are.